Hey, so these are my tips for RGT Grade 1 electric guitar playing. And just to emphasize, this is not a substitute for having the books and the teacher. These are just some tips I've picked up along the years that help a few students out. So first of all, with the scales again, the reason they pick the scales they do is that certain scales are related and it makes it easier to learn them together. So for example, if you look at G pentatonic major and E blues, lots of notes are in common between the two, so it makes both shapes easier to learn. And then something I'd like to point out is the A pentatonic minor and the E blues scale are also very similar. So see if you can spot that. Point here is this is the first time you've learned a kind of movable shape that's up the fretboard. And I definitely recommend using the fingering they suggest in the book. So for the A major scale, that's where you start on your middle finger. You use your middle finger for every note on the 5th fret, and your first finger for every note on the 4th fret, ring finger for every note on the 6th, little finger for every note on the 7th. And we call this finger per fret. So you're spreading the work of the scale out between all 4 fingers approximately evenly, and this really helps in the long run. Even if it's tricky to get your pinky working at first, definitely suggest that's how you do it. Also this grade, it's always said you should alternate pick it, but this is the grade where it really becomes useful too. You don't have to do it fast at all. It's 120 beats per minute, 1 note per beat. If you look up an online metronome, that's not too fast. And just start alternate picking. Doesn't have to be that fast even. Yeah, and as always, with the scale section, all the possible questions you can prepare for. So they can't surprise you in any way, so try and aim for top marks in this section. Okay, so moving on to the chords section. At this grade you have both 7 chords, so dominant 7th chords, and major 7th chords. So just to give you an idea of why that is, why you've got 2 different kinds of 7th chords, so to speak, is if you take an A major chord, the note here on the G string on the 2nd fret, it's actually an A as well. So if you lower that by 1 fret, it's the note G sharp. That's the 7th note of the scale of A major. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You hear it's the same note, right? So when you have a major chord with what's called a major 7th, so the note is the 7th note is the major scale, and that's a major 7th chord. And if you lower that 1 more note, you have a normal G, and that's what we call flat 7th, because it's the same as the 7th note of the major scale, flattened, so moved down a fret. So when you have a major chord, the major 7th, it's called a major 7th chord. You have a major chord, a flattened 7th, it's called a dominant 7th chord. Right, so with the rhythm playing at this grade, this is the first grade where you have dynamics, so I'm just playing louder or softer. And symbols for that, P and F, piano and forte. P means quiet, F means loud. And the big tip I would give here is really exaggerate it. So remember, the examiner's job is to give you marks. So if it says on the chord chart, P for soft, you want to play really, really quietly. And that way he can definitely give you the marks for playing quietly. And if it says loud, play really loudly. And that way you definitely get the marks for playing loudly. And in later grades it gets a little bit more subtle, but for this one that's what I do. And also when you're nervous you tend to underplay dynamics. You don't play softly as you should do and as loudly as you should do, and you just kind of play in the middle. So it's really good when you practice, you exaggerate the dynamics, you play really loud and really soft, and then when it comes around to the actual exam you'll be in the right kind of habits. Okay, so with the lead playing, it's actually pretty much the same as the previous grade. So there's no new techniques, there's just the scales are a little bit larger and they're expecting a slightly higher standard of playing. The same basic stuff applies. So you can practice it by playing all the backing tracks on YouTube. Really easy to Google like E natural minor backing track, and then you just play along with your E minor scale until you find things that you like. When you find things you like, try and memorize them so you have prepared legs then for the exam. Again, nothing too complicated. Remember, they're not expecting you to be amazing. They know you're only at grade 1, and just try to make your playing kind of melodic, keep it in time, and use the correct scale. Using the correct scale is just a matter of matching the first chord to the correct scale. So it's the E minor chord, it's the E minor scale, and there's a little chart in the book to help you. So in the spoken test, there's about 30 notes you have to memorize on the fretboard for this. And I think really, at this point you may as well learn the whole fretboard. It's not actually as hard as you might think, and it's really useful, and it will stay really useful for you for all of your guitar playing. Really good idea to learn the whole fretboard, so you may as well do it now, and then you'll feel a lot more confident when you come to answer this, because obviously this is just a smaller section, it's just up to the 8th fret. So yeah, there's lots of good guides for how to learn the fretboard, and if I get the time, I'll make a kind of summarized video of how I like to teach it and link to this video, but there's loads of guides for how to learn the notes of the fretboard. What's nice here is the clarity and fluency section. It stays almost exactly the same. Not exactly the same, but almost exactly the same all the way up to, I think, grade 6. So please, 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 just learn off the text. 2 paragraphs of text. You learn off more for school all the time, right? Learn it, and so that you can say it the way they want to give you marks for. Because there's loads of people who know how to play guitar, but you ask them how to explain good fretting technique, a good picking technique, and they explain it well, but they don't use the words they want to mark you for. So don't take chances, pick up the easy marks, learn them off. Moving on to the listening test, the repetition rhythms. Again, Earmaster Pro is great. If you don't have a teacher, you really need some way of practicing these, because obviously it's quite hard for you to play something to surprise yourself. And as a general rule, once again, please try and learn everything you can by ear, and that will really help you with not only your exams, but your playing in general. It's probably the most important thing, and that's why we have ear tests in these grades, because it's actually a really important part of learning to play guitar. So the last sections of the listening test, the pitch test and the harmony test, there's some handy stuff in it. So with the harmony test, it's the types of chords from the chord section. So all major, all minor, all dominant 7th, or all major 7th. And what's really handy is if you just have a way of remembering those signs. So I always think major ones are happy, minor ones are sad, 7ths are bluesy, and then the major 7ths are kind of dreamy, kind of cloudy, very jazzy. So whatever helps you remember those signs, attach that name to it and practice it. With the pitch test, there's what we call mnemonics, memory tricks for learning these. So a major 2nd, happy birthday. A major 3rd is Oh and the Saints. And a 4th, Here Comes the Bride, or Amazing Grace. And then the 5th is Star Wars. So those first 2 notes of those melodies correspond exactly to pitches here. And that's a really good way of learning those off.